is what God created us to do. To tend, to grow, to multiply things. So the real worth for me as a man, the way I look at it is that, can I penetrate a situation and impregnate it with growth and potential,
and with your greatness,
and with my greatness,
and cause it to be better than you found
exactly.
it. That's what a worth of a man
That's
is.
what the worth of a man is.
Not a guy
it
with
starts
Crocs.
from the inside.
Sorry. And JBL earphones, headphones.
So, I mean, if that is all it is about being a man, then it's done for some of us.
Right.
But
and that's where the problem is, because people get there really. People get an apartment in Nigeria. They get the Subaru, blue in color, and what do you say, the speakers,
and playing on my piano.
Guys normally have that as a standard, and they go after it. And then after a few years, they get it. And then what next? See? That's
What
the
next?
conundrum. What next?
What are you growing next?
Yeah.
So you see, I also think that the worth of a man depends on what he chooses to penetrate.
Or who he chooses to penetrate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You just had to go there. But why? Because if a man is a seed bearer, then life is a garden.
Right. The environment becomes a very important aspect of the man's worth.
Yes.
Right.
So one time, Protea Hotels, which is now I think Sky's Hotel, in Nakuru, had a billboard somewhere in Bukoto, and I remember this line. It says, "You are where you go, so go somewhere sublime."
Wow. Cute.
Yeah, and I'm saying, come to Skies. But what they're saying is, your environment determines what comes out of you. So if you expose yourself to wealthy, beautiful environments, it's going to inspire good things out of you. Again, that's why people in the effort to build their self-worth will join gyms like Serena.
Yeah, or hang out in such like places.
But you know, and they'll drive a Benz and not a Spacio.
Yeah.
And you know, for most people who understand the spirit of excellence, because you can't talk about worth without understanding excellence.
Yeah.
So you find that they choose to live a certain way. They choose to be a certain way because they understand that they are connecting seed with soil.
Seed and the environment.
Exactly.
But I wanted to tell you this. I think this is a very big thing to say. That you find a man who has really identified his worth. That man will not be intimidated by the environment, especially if it's a deserted environment, unlikely, drab. I mean, but inside of him as a man, he has a vision to transform that environment into something beautiful, something better, right? In other words, if you get the Subaru away from him, the Nigeria apartment away from him, and so on and so forth, he still knows that his worth is not necessarily 100% tied to Nigeria and the blue Subaru. You get my communication? You get my point?
Yes.
That he knows that I have worth inside of me good enough to go anywhere, penetrate and impregnate it and change it.
Exactly. So you think that, let's assume that gold thinks. When gold is in the soil, you think it's there feeling bad about being in the soil and being ore? You think gold is there feeling like copper because it's in the soil? It's gold. Just waiting for the time. And in fact, I want to use a different mineral to bring this concept out. Pressure.
Yeah.
To bring out the concept of growth.
Yeah.
In worth as a man through time, pressure, and darkness and seclusion. You see, oil, charcoal, coal, and diamond are all made of the same material, which is carbon, which is the same material that makes our bodies. You get?
Mm.
So, if you died today and we buried you somewhere,
Mm.
you will become
A mineral.
a mineral. Which mineral? I don't know. But anyway, what we're saying here is that carbon
Mm.
covered in the earth over time
Mm. And pressure.
and pressure
Mm.
and heat
Mm.
transforms.
Mm.
It starts from being the worthless charcoal
Mm.
or very, very little worth charcoal.
Mm.
And today, really, I think charcoal should be worthless
Mm.
for the good of the environment.
Mm.
But basically, you cut down a tree, the first thing it will be is charcoal.
Mm.
Then over time, it will become coal. When it has now solidified to become like a rock.
Mm.
Then add more pressure. It becomes oil.
Mm.
Take it deeper.
Mm.
Expose it to more pressure and more heat.
Mm.
Guess what you find?
Mm-hmm.
A diamond.
Mm.
And it's only in South Africa and Botswana that diamonds were found to be on the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm.
But for them to be on the surface was a result of volcanic explosions.
Mm.
But generally, the most worthwhile substances
Mm-hmm.
are found in the deepest crevices.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the worth of a man, we are saying that what really makes a man
A man.
is not what you see on the top.
Oh, you guy.
And if someone derives their manhood or the worth of who they are
From externals.
from external things, then it means that inside
There's something missing.
there's something missing. There's a big hole.
And as long as that hole is there, he can fly to Dubai, come back, and in the morning eat lunch in Uganda, supper in Rwanda, and whatever elsewhere. He can put on all the shoes he wants to put on, but as long as the inside part is not sorted,
You only do things for the likes.
yeah.
And if you're doing things only for the likes, then it means that the identity is not unlocked.
Of course.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back after the break and discuss further about this topic of a man's worth. And in case you have any questions that you want to ask us, you can go to solidjamaz@gmail.com and we'll reply. We'll come back to you after the break. Our goal is to be a resource point of growth and safe space where men who are struggling can find a hug. Man can talk to man and become as iron sharpens iron, changing the countenance of his friend. And we want men to be there for each other in this treacherous journey that is a man's life. No man should struggle in the dark alone, and we intend to work with men who we view as wounded warriors to get back to their identity, to discover their innate potential as men, as husbands, as fathers, as leaders, because we believe that if the manhood challenge is solved in our generation, half the world's problems will also be solved.
Cause Lord knows I've paid my dues and I deserve to be happy too.
Well, we're back. I'm here at where is this place?
This is Akili Africa,
Yeah.
the fireplace.
I'm here at the fireplace with Ngons is the Solution. This is Solid Jamaz. We're talking about the worth of a man. This is a new series that we've started.
We are in that season in Uganda, for those of you who are listening to us from across the globe, where this week we've taken our children back to school.
Yeah. 2 years down the line.
After 2 years of school being closed.
Mm.
So I asked you earlier, when we were beginning the first segment, what are you worth?
Yeah.
And I'll bring this to say, when a woman is leaving a man, or people are quitting relationships as friends, men, and they'll use this term, you are not worth it.
You're worthless.
You're worthless.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, you're not worth my time.
Yeah.
So they're really saying you're not worth it. A woman leaving a man's, you're not really worth it. And then I saw recently, I don't know if you saw that, where this so-called celebrity Fabiola abused her father.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know if it's for...
and called him a dog, and could not believe how her father could give birth to a person like her.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the foolishness that this world has come to?
Yeah.
So, a man,
It's quite unfortunate.
For example, this week there's stress that's going on across the country because there is a man who cannot pay fees. Maybe he's unemployed, or maybe he's incapacitated in one way or the other. There is a man who is struggling with addictions, and that is causing pain. There is a man who is, define it in any way. That is disappointing. You get? They are disappointing the people around them because the people around them have expectations of them. Now, those expectations speak to what we're talking about. That when they look at you, they see something that they expect to show up on the outside. So people get disappointed when that does not happen, and they write off men and say, this man is not worth our time. This man is good for nothing. This man is not worth my love. This man is not worth, my respect.
Have you ever felt good for nothing?
It's interesting you use that word, because now I think about it, that if you're good for nothing, thank God that you're good. If someone says you're good for nothing, like, thank God I'm good. It is you who is nothing.
But have you ever felt like, man, have you ever been treated in such a way, or has life ever thrown you some curveballs to such an extent that you feel worthless? My worth is diminished. And I think all of us,
as Soli Jamas, were in the spirit of what's the word? Vulnerability. So as a co-parent, my children's mother tends to make unilateral decisions. And I pay the bill for the decisions. You get? So it does not matter whether I can afford her decisions or not. So are you seeing how someone makes you feel like you don't matter in this conversation? So as a man, how am I supposed to feel if I can't even decide, for example, which schools my children go to, or when they come to see me? So I speak this in the spirit of openness and honesty, and so that other men who are going through things can know that, hey, just because someone is disrespecting you, just because someone is disregarding you, does not mean you discount yourself.
Right. Absolutely.
You get?
Right.
Because if you know your value, it's standard, it stays. And remember, we said that with time, it grows. So, like I said, if someone says I'm good for nothing,
I'm good,
I clap and say, I am good. You are nothing.
I get that part.
You get?
I get that
part. We are living in a world where the value of a man has been discounted.
Let me ask you this question. In your opinion, because I have my own opinions here, what corrodes the value of a man? What corrodes the worthiness of a man over life? Because we're living in a black fallen world at the end of the day. And at times you look at a man, for example, in your life, you see that this guy is worth something, but they don't see it in themselves. Right? What are some of those things that corrode the man's worth?
You see, I mentioned earlier and I said, let's use minerals to speak the metaphor for worth. So if here, where we are here at Akili, Africa, if under this plot there is gold, and one, I never prospect, two, and to prospect means to find out what is there.
investigate, basically. Intentionally
Investigate.
look at it and ask questions.
What is this plot? What?
Exactly.